Hello there, traveler. Whatever time and space you are currently inhabiting. As always, we take a moment to come back to the breath. Use it as an anchoring point for a momentary check-in. Taking a moment to observe the natural breath, where it's at. Are you breathing at the top or at the base? Are you using your diaphragm? The reason we come back to our breath is that when life at times throws us into the cave, we can use this as a point to come back to. Take a moment to observe our surroundings. Maybe this cave is not so alone. Maybe there's water flowing out, some little passageway connecting to the ocean. At that breaking point where the tide pool emerges as a domain full of life. Between these chaotic zones where life is at the most perilous stages, no constant, it's kind of continuous states of change, erosion, filling, currently as on Earth, in gravitational forces, and with the moon and the lunar cycle. Still in these places, filled with potential and all the different chaotic options that can emerge from them. Taking time to find stillness at high tide when the baths are full, or basking on the rock at low tide, enjoying the sun's warmth and radiation. We always can take a moment to sit and reflect, and take a moment to ponder some of the more existential things of life. Now, this brings us to this week's question of the week. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Now, I'm someone who personally likes a little bit of variety. I like a little bit of spice to life, and I really struggle with, even in my routines, keeping it consistent, and I need change with them. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was liking to talk about the tidal pool, where there's all this different changes constantly happening, because even in their routines that are dictated by all these different forces like the lunar cycles and quite literally gravitational forces, and then seasonal things like different mating rituals between different species of life, for instance, right? With the spawning of different crabs and everything like that, and the continuous change in an environment that appears to stay constant. And I think that's part of the reasons why, even though this question might be a little silly, it's, I think, a lot of fun, because it's trying to ask, if I had to have something consistently for the rest of my life without essentially change, how would I be able to have that? And I would be able to, I think, incorporate still that variety and change in the food of my choice. And I think I want to kind of maybe be simplistic about it, but soup. Fucking love soup. I'm a soup bitch now. That's 100% an accurate statement of me. I believe soup is the perfect breakfast. I believe that typically cultures that start the morning with a warm broth of spicy soup with some protein and some carbohydrates in it have really got it figured out. I'm a big fan of even stuff like porridges, like congee and stuff like that, which is arguably kind of soup. I'm not here to make the distinctions between soup, stew, or anything like that, but I do believe that it's something that not only goes back to as long as we've been able to do chemistry and light a fire and boil some water and use different ingredients to make something around the pot and different on the trail and on the journey. But it's something that's one of those things that's really been a tool for me to connect with other cultures, to be honest with you. Growing up in the environment I did, and I grew up in an environment that was quite homogenous, right? Growing up in a suburban area. And, one of the things that, when I was a child and trying to connect to all these different places, and still to some extent do when I'm watching, travel shows or anything like that, and look at honestly, the different soup. And those are the things that I believe very firmly that different exposure to other people's cultures and foods and what they take into their house and everything like that is one of the best ways to create multicultural literacy. One of the more challenging experiences for me in life, right, was when, from a dietary perspective, outside of any eating disorder, was when I was in the monastery. It was strictly vegetarian, and as someone who was very picky growing up and really struggled with the diversity of food, it was a complete 180 from anything that I had normally experienced up until that point. And having to not only challenge myself just to be in this eclectic environment where it was very novel to me in a lot of different ways, where, for instance, eating in silence and really having a new different kind of mindful approach to things. It was then understanding like what actual vegetables can I eat, because it's not something I had ever truly challenged myself on, because it was not something I had honestly had necessary to, because of the different growing up and with the different kind of food access, right? It was very rubber stamped, industrialized supermarkets, and taking the opportunity to, the first thing I really enjoyed was this little soup. I was able to find familiarity in things like buns and steamed buns and peanut butter, but then really learned I really struggled with things like okra and eggplant. But at the same time, really understanding that there is actually some kind of mushroom I really enjoy. And found out that I really like enoki mushrooms, especially in soup. I remember that every day, one of my favorite highlights of the day at that point would be just understanding what type of soup we would be served, as we would be served different soup with different meals. And always taking the realization that was constantly the thing that, outside of rice, I typically always ask for a little bit more rice too, because with enough rice, traveler, you can eat anything. That is something I fundamentally believe is truly intrinsically possible. You shove enough rice down with something and you can take it, pretty much you can eat something that your body fundamentally is trying to redirect. That was my experience, especially with okra and eggplant. I don't know why, I tried texture-wise. I was the last one in the purity hall on both the times I tried to eat those different things. I've tried multiple times, and when they're prepared in different ways, and I've tried them since. There is something that my body does not like about that texture and everything like that, and it's a sensation thing, and I don't know what that exactly, if it's a neurotypical response, or if it's just my body being like, nope, I'm just not going to eat this, but definitely made my effort to at least try it at that point. And the thing that I would always ask for, because in the purity hall in that situation, we'd be able to ask for seconds, and you'd be able to eat as you felt you needed to. And the thing that I found I would constantly ask for, if I was to ask for seconds besides the rice, was some additional soup, because it's something that really brought me a lot of comfort, and really being able to find a lot of joy and a lot of like connectivity with it, and really being able to try especially vegetables and different flavors, especially some sour soups. That was something I had no exposure to, really, was any kind of sour soup. It's really fundamental, and actually being like, oh, these are flavors that I have not been just been exposed to, and these are things that I have to get the opportunity, actually, I should say, to form opinions on, and really understand it and contextualize what do I do enjoy and what don't I enjoy, and what is my body connection with that when I'm experiencing the process of eating. I think that some of the happiest memories that I also share is just intrinsically comes around food, as it was, definitely a love language for me growing up. And whether that was sharing in specifically some bowls of ramen with my best friend in Japan, or trying this new conveyor hot pot place with my fiance, right? The first food that I really took the effort to really learn myself how to cook was specifically a type of potato soup. I think that anything comes down to it, and if I really had to eat one food for the rest of my life, it would be soup, because I believe I can get the nutrition that I need from it. I believe I can still be honestly a drink bitch too. I can drink my soup. Fuck, I love being able to drink my food. Especially when you sometimes struggle with being able to eat at all. Being able to drink your stuff can actually help you eat stuff, and I will always be grateful for cheap ass ramen for that reason. Whereas when I was in the probably some of the worst phases of my active eating disorders, when I experienced them, and just not being able to eat because of anxiety and stress and everything like that. Some of the few things I was able to eat were chicken fingers and a bowl of noodles and a little bit of broth with that. Specifically the cheap ass ramen that you can get at pretty much any store around the world nowadays. It's the instant noodle revolution is definitely a period of our time right now. And being able to, on the weeks where realistically I was only able to eat maybe a meal or two during the course of a week, guarantee you there was, one of the two things I was eating at that point was a simple bowl of noodles and broth, or some chicken fingers. So it's also, I think it has a quite intimate relationship in my mind about what soup is, because it did nourish me at one point when I was really struggling, and is when my mind and my body were at that point of disconnection, it was something that was able to keep me going and not just completely going out without energy and not being able to eat. And for those different reasons, I will always love soup. And I would love to be able to share a bowl of soup with pretty much anyone on this earth, right? And being able to have that opportunity just to share a joyous conversation and slurp down something yummy sounds like a wonderful time to me. So, wherever you're at, traveler, I hope your next bowl of soup is absolutely fantastic and delicious and you enjoy it very much. As always, you are loved and you are enough.